The hall was much bigger than she expected. The ceiling felt high, almost too high, and the lights felt too bright, as if they were watching her already. Rows of chairs stretched far back, filled with people who looked calm, confident, and sure of themselves. Some whispered to each other in low voices. Some stared at their phones, scrolling without care. Others watched the stage with bored eyes, as if they had already decided how this would go. She stood near the entrance, not moving, holding her hands together so tightly they felt cold and stiff. Her heart beat fast, loud enough that she feared someone nearby might hear it. It was not because she wanted attention. It was because she feared it. She had never liked being seen. Being noticed always came with judgment. Music was the only place where she felt safe, where no one asked her to explain herself. But even that safety felt shaky today. This was a piano audition. Nothing fancy, nothing special, they said. Just a short performance. A simple melody. That was all they wanted. No big emotion. No surprises. Just proof that she could follow instructions. She had practiced that melody many times, late at night, when the house was silent and the world felt far away. Early in the morning, before the day began, asking too much of her. She practiced on a piano with worn keys and weak sound, a piano that had seen better days. Some keys stuck. Some notes sounded dull. But she learned to work with it. She practiced when no one was watching. Music was her way to breathe when life felt heavy and unfair. But here, standing in this hall, music felt far away. It felt small compared to the size of the room and the weight of the eyes around her. She looked toward the stage. The grand piano sat there, black and shining under the lights. It looked strong and proud, like it belonged there, like it had confidence. She did not feel the same. She felt like she had wandered into a place that was not meant for her. Her name was called, or rather, her number. No warmth, no encouragement. Just a voice reading from a list, already ready to move on to the next person. A few people looked up. Some raised their eyebrows, as if surprised. Others smiled in a way that did not feel kind. It felt quick and sharp, like a judgment made too fast. Someone whispered, not quietly enough. Another soft laugh followed, light but cutting. She heard it. She always heard things like that, even when she tried not to. Her clothes were simple, not old, not new, just clean and plain. Nothing about her stood out. No bold colors, no stylish details, no confident walk, no practiced smile, just careful steps and eyes that stayed low, as if the floor felt safer than people. As she walked toward the stage, each step felt heavier than the last. Her thoughts rushed faster than her feet. They piled up inside her head, loud and unforgiving. What if she failed? What if they were right to doubt her? What if the piano refused to listen to her today, just when she needed it most? She tried to breathe, but the air felt thin. She remembered the first time she ever touched a piano. It was not in a hall like this. It was in a small room with cracked walls and poor light. The piano was old and out of tune. Some keys were chipped. But when she pressed one key, just one, something inside her changed. It felt like a door opening, a quiet place where she could exist without fear. That sound stayed with her through lonely days and quiet nights. When words failed her, the piano understood. When people misunderstood her, the piano listened. It never laughed. It never rushed her. It waited, but the people in this hall did not know that. They did not know the nights she chose practice over rest. They did not know how music held her together when nothing else did. To them, she was just another face, another try, another moment to judge before moving on. She reached the piano bench and sat down slowly. The bench felt firm beneath her, real, solid. She placed her hands in her lap and took a careful breath, then another. She could feel her pulse in her fingers. The room was quiet now, but not in a kind way. It was the kind of quiet, filled with waiting and doubt. The kind of silence that presses down instead of lifting up. She could feel eyes on her. Heavy eyes. Curious eyes. Tired eyes. Some expecting nothing. Some expecting failure. Someone coughed. Someone shifted in their seat. A shoe tapped lightly against the floor. She lifted her hands and placed them gently on the keys. The piano felt warm under her fingers, almost alive, like it had been waiting for her to arrive. That small feeling gave her a bit of strength. For a moment, she did nothing. That pause felt long, too long. She heard a small sigh from somewhere in the hall. "She's nervous," someone whispered. "Just play already," another voice said. Her chest tightened. Her shoulders stiffened. Doubt crept in again, fast and sharp. Then she closed her eyes. In that moment, the hall faded. The lights softened. The whispers disappeared. She remembered why she was here. Not to impress. Not to prove anything to anyone. But to play. To let the music speak. Where she could not. She pressed the first key. The sound was soft, simple. Just as expected, a few people relaxed in their seats, as if their guess had been correct. This would be quick. Forgettable. Just another audition to get through, she continued. The melody was basic, clean.com, no extra movement, no show, just the notes they asked for. But her fingers did not rush. She gave each note time to breathe. She played each one like it mattered, like it carried something unseen, something personal. The sound filled the space gently, not loud, but steady. The room slowly grew quieter, not because of rules, but because something felt different. People stopped shifting. Phones lowered. Whispers faded. She did not look up. She did not see the change yet. Inside her, memory stirred. Long nights alone. Being told she was not enough. Being overlooked without explanation. Being laughed at for dreaming too quietly. She poured all of it into the keys, even while keeping the melody simple. The notes stayed true, but the feeling beneath them deepened. Her shoulders relaxed. Her breathing slowed. For the first time since walking in, she felt steady, not strong, not fearless, just steady. The piano was no longer a test. It was a voice. Her voice. And it was just beginning to speak. The last note of the simple opening rang softly in the hall. It lingered in the air longer than expected. She lifted her hands slightly, letting the sound fade on its own. The room held its breath. Something was coming, but no one knew what it would be. The silence after the last note felt heavy, like the room itself was listening. It was the kind of silence that did not feel empty. It felt full, thick with feeling. She kept her hands close to the keys, not lifting them fully yet, as if the piano and she were still connected. Her heart beat slowly now, steady in a way it had not been before. The fear that once rushed through her chest had softened. She did not rush. She trusted the quiet. She stayed still for a moment longer, breathing in the sound that was no longer there. It felt important to let it end on its own. Then she began again. This time, the melody changed. It was still gentle, but deeper. Still simple, but fuller. The notes moved with purpose, like they knew where they were going, and why. There was confidence in them. Not loud confidence, but calm and sure. She was no longer just following the tune she had practiced so many times. She was guiding it, shaping it, letting it grow into something that felt alive. Something shifted in the hall. A man in the front row leaned forward without realizing it. His hands rested on his knees now, his eyes fixed on the stage. A woman near the side stopped tapping her foot and slowly folded her hands together. Someone who had been checking their phone locked the screen and slipped it into a pocket. The bored eyes were gone now. In their place was attention. Real attention. The kind that cannot be forced. She did not see any of this. Her eyes stayed closed, her face calm. The world outside the piano had faded away for her. There was only sound, breath, and feeling. Inside her, the music opened a door she had kept shut for a long time. Feelings she never spoke out loud found their way into the sound. The fear of being unseen, the pain of being judged too quickly, the quiet hope that maybe, one day, someone would listen without already deciding. All of it flowed through her fingers, into the keys, and out into the room. Her fingers moved with care, not fast, not slow, just honest. She did not try to impress. She did not try to be perfect. She played the way she always had when no one was watching. When the music was only for her. The piano responded to her touch like it understood. Each note carried weight, not loud weight, but emotional weight, the kind that sits gently on the heart and stays there. The sound felt warm, wrapping around the room instead of filling it sharply. The room felt smaller now, warmer, like the walls had moved closer to listen. People began to feel something they could not explain. It reminded them of moments they had forgotten. Times when they felt small. Times when they wanted to be heard, but did not know how to speak. Times when they hid parts of themselves because it felt safer. One person swallowed hard and shifted in their seat. Another blinked more than usual, surprised by the sting behind their eyes. Someone pressed their lips together, holding back a feeling they did not expect to feel in a place like this. The music was not showing off. It was not trying to be clever or loud. It was telling a story without words. A story anyone could step into, even if they had never touched a piano in their life. She leaned slightly into the piano, as if sharing a secret only it could hear. The melody rose and fell like breathing. There was sadness in it, but also strength. Not loud strength that demands attention. Quiet strength that survives without applause. She remembered every time she was told she was not enough. Every time someone chose someone else over her, without explanation. Every moment she stayed quiet because speaking felt useless, because no one seemed ready to listen anyway. She played all of it, and for the first time, it did not hurt. It felt free. The sound filled the hall, reaching even the farthest rows. It slipped between seats and settled into the quiet spaces people carried inside themselves. No one whispered now. No one laughed. Even the people who had doubted her sat still. Their faces changed, their expressions softer than before. The music grew slightly stronger, not faster, not louder, just more sure of itself. Like someone standing up straight after years of looking down. Like someone finally believing they had the right to take space. Her shoulders stayed relaxed. Her breathing stayed calm. Her hands did not shake. This was no longer an audition. It was a moment shared by everyone in the room, even those who did not realize it yet. Some felt tears gather without knowing why. Others felt a tight feeling in their chest, like something important was being touched gently. A few smiled softly, surprised by the warmth spreading inside them. No one felt bored anymore. No one felt separate from the sound. She reached a part of the melody that felt like standing at the edge of something big. A quiet edge, not frightening, but important. The notes paused for half a second, just enough to make the heart wait, just enough to make the silence lean in. Then she played the final section. It was simple again, almost like the beginning. Familiar, gentle, but now it felt different, stronger, braver, like someone who had walked through doubt and come out changed. The notes carried calm confidence, like a steady voice that no longer needed permission. The last note rang clear and true. She lifted her hands, slowly, and let the sound fade on its own. She did not rush the ending. She respected it. This time the silence was not heavy. It was full. For a moment, no one moved. No one clapped. No one spoke. It felt like breaking the quiet would break the feeling. Like the room needed one last breath together. She opened her eyes. She saw faces looking back at her, not with judgment, but with respect. Some looked surprised, as if they had misjudged more than just her. Some looked emotional, touched in places they did not expect. Some looked thoughtful, like they had just learned something about themselves. Her chest tightened, but not with fear, with relief. Then one person began to clap softly. Another joined, just as gentle. Then another. Soon, the sound grew into steady applause. Not loud or wild, but deep and real. The kind of applause that comes from the heart, not from habit. It filled the hall slowly, honestly. She stood up slowly, unsure of what to do with her hands, with her body, with the moment. She bowed her head slightly, not because she felt small, but because she felt grateful. Grateful for the piano. Grateful for the chance. Grateful for being heard. The applause continued. Some people stood. She had not expected that. Her eyes filled, but she blinked the tears away. She did not want to cry here, not because tears were weak, but because this moment felt peaceful, and she wanted to hold it gently. She stepped away from the piano and walked off the stage, her legs lighter than before, her steps steadier as she passed the judge's table. She did not look for approval. She no longer needed it. But she noticed something anyway. They were not writing anymore. They were looking at her, not as someone to judge, but as someone they had heard. She reached the side of the hall and stood quietly. The noise faded behind her, but the feeling stayed inside her, warm and steady. For years, she had believed that being quiet meant being invisible, that being simple meant being forgettable, that unless she was bold and loud, she would never be noticed in a world that seemed to reward noise. But the piano had taught her something different. You do not need to shout to be heard. You just need to speak honestly. The audition ended. People began to leave, talking softly now, not carelessly like before. Some glanced at her as they passed, offering small nods or gentle smiles. No words were needed. The moment had already spoken for itself. She walked outside into the open air. The light felt softer here, kinder. The noise of the world returned, but it did not feel heavy anymore. It felt manageable. She took a deep breath and let it out slowly. For the first time in a long time, she felt proud. Not because she impressed others, not because she stood out, but because she stayed true to herself, even when it was hard. She did not know what would happen next. She did not know if she would be chosen, or remembered, or forgotten by morning. But she knew something more important. She had played from her heart, and that was enough.